Welcome back to another episode of Just My Baby Daddy Podcast. It's your boy AJ.
I'm the bougie baby daddy Eli. I'll go ahead and introduce myself the right way this time.
We don't even know how this episode's coming out in order. If y'all watch enough, you pick up on what the hell he's talking about right now. But right now, we have a man with a very, very interesting story. A man that introduced me to the streets of Baltimore. Which being from DC is something that I never ever thought I would do or want to do. Having us doing all kinds of things I should not be doing at 12, 13 years old. Like we on was it North Avenue at midnight? Like so when I see The Wire, it's that stuff we saw as kids. I was 13, but they like 20. And they just bringing me around. You know, I guess I was the little brother, you know, and so we have Mr. Red Cup, my guy Reggie Webb. My guy.
Sir.
Hey man,
Yes,
thank you
sir.
for being here, man.
Thank y'all for having me.
I'm
Thank
sorry
y'all
I
for
don't give
having
you
me.
an industry introduction like, you
I don't
know,
need one of them, man.
like you used to, because we having a different type of conversation here because we're not having an interview. We just want you to tell your story and your journey into fatherhood because you're a single father.
Mm-hmm.
So being a single father, I know this question probably means a lot to you. Is the question we always start with: what does it mean for you to be a father?
Man. To be a protector, to be a provider, to be an example of how I want them to be as they keep aging and growing. Yeah.
That sounds like something we would read, and that sounds great. Dig into that a little bit more though. Kind of give me some details as far as when you're talking about being a provider, a protector. Like, what are some of those aspects of those things that make it so meaningful to you?
Well, sort of like I'm a person that hates the 9-to-5 world with a passion, and I really have an issue with it because I have an issue with people bossing you around. So I do all different types of things to bring money into the house. So if I'm doing this hustle, that hustle, and I'm pouring that into my son's artwork because he has a passion for art, and I pour that into my daughter's design because she has a passion for designing. That's the providing part, and of course keeping the lights on and, you know what I mean, keeping the roof over our head. And the protecting part is just pumping them full of information about how things work in the world, how to get your own bag in the world, and also teaching them how to defend themselves because these crazy times that we living in right now, for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of where you living in, I introduced you because you introduced me to Baltimore, right? But you're not in Baltimore anymore. Where are you at?
California, in a part of California called Riverside, California, which is like 40 miles outside of LA. So, been there since 2009. Yeah.
Gotcha. So from a fatherhood and raising kids based on from how you grew up to how you're raising your kids now, what are the differences or the main differences from Baltimore and California?
Oh shit. They don't got to worry about walking past gunshots, shootouts, dope needles on the ground, broken 40 bottles, you know what I mean, police lights. Like I live in like a real cool, I guess you would say, family structured neighborhood or whatever. Like, I purposely moved close to the hospital. I'm going to wait to say why. We're probably going to get into that later about my daughter's condition. But it's different out there. They actually got to grow up and have a childhood and not grow up quick. Like, not be 12 years old, know how to do, as he said. You know what I mean?
That's your fault.
right. They had to go through all that. They got to be like kids. So they kind of, I'll say behind where some of, not intellectually behind, they're just their ages, if you get what I'm saying.
So yeah, so I get what you're saying because what it sounds like what you're saying is what being the father kind of represents is raising your kids in an environment that's better than what we kind of raised in, providing them with new opportunities, providing them with, you know, a chance. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about the differences in California now, you're saying you want your children to actually have a childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Got you.
Definitely.
And for you, why is that so important?
Because I know personally that's something that kind of like had me kind of off in my 20s. Because growing up in Baltimore, like it was so much shit going on that you get into. Some of it I put myself in. Certain things just happen because of the environment I grew up in. So then, boom, you hear everybody telling you you're not going to live to be 18. Boom, you get to 18. Then you hear you're not going to live to be 21. You get to 21. So we celebrating. It's like, okay, I made it through all of that. So now I'm going to just get my money, go out, and I'm going to party and smash chicks every week, every weekend. You know, that was my mentality. Then when you get to 25, it's like, damn, I didn't plan for this. Then next thing you know, 30 coming. You feel me? So it's like growing up like that had the way I thought off. I wasn't thinking about the future. I was just thinking about that day. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I definitely didn't want to instill. I didn't realize that till I moved away from it. As weird as that might sound, I didn't realize that till I moved to California. Yeah.
So did you move before or after you had kids?
When they were born, I was still living in Baltimore.
Okay.
They moved in like 2005 or 6. They moved to California with their mom first. Then I went out there for a visit, and that visit turned into me staying and getting custody of them. That's kind of how that happened.
So when you moved to California, you got custody of your kids?
Yeah, because I went out there for a visit, like I was saying, and my daughter has sickle cell anemia. So what that is, it's like that blood condition to where like her cells will lose oxygen, and then it cause her limbs to hurt, her arms, her legs, all parts of her body. So I went out there for a visit because she was in the hospital for a month and the mom had to go to work. So I went out, I'm gonna go stay in the hospital with her. When I went out there, the nurses were telling me certain things that I wasn't vibing with. Now I wasn't knowledgeable of the disease then. It's just what they were saying was like, she's not getting this, she's not getting that, she's not getting that. So I stayed. So I'm gonna stay for like a month. That month turned into another month. Came back here, got some stuff settled. I just moved out there, and we ended up in court, a real nasty custody battle. I didn't want to get full custody. I just wanted something on paper legally that says I can have them this week or this weekend, but it turned into full sole physical and legal custody of both of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're one of the anomalies as far as black fathers having custody. But let's go back. You were talking about your daughter having sickle cell, right? When you first found out, how did that impact you? How did you take that news? Because that's something with in our communities, any type of issue, any type of thing that our children go through, we take that strongly and to heart. But how did that impact you when you first heard it?
See, this is going to sound kind of messed up. It didn't really impact me because when I first heard it, the mentality I told you I had, okay, she got sickle cell, it's a blood disease, okay, whatever, we'll get through it. It didn't hit me until she aged a little bit and I would see her go through the crisis. Then it was like, oh man, like that's when it really hit me. And then when I went there for this visit that turned into me staying there, that's when I really was like, wow. So I read about it, researched it, joined a couple of sickle cell parent groups because I didn't know like there's actually groups for it because a lot of people don't know about sickle cell, so it doesn't get a lot of media attention or anything like that. So I found different groups to join to make myself more knowledgeable about it, and it hurt. It still hurt. Like right now as I'm doing this interview, she's having a crisis right now because she normally gets them whenever the seasons changes, get ready to fall. So she'll start to ache a little bit, but it's not as bad as it has been in the past. Yeah.
So from a protector, like you were talking about earlier, you're kind of absorbing some of that pain because it's just a feeling like you can't take it from her.
You're helpless.
Okay.
I feel helpless to watch her go through that. Then all of the different narcotics they have to give her through IV, then you got to watch your child nod out sometimes. I don't wish that on anybody. And because of something you said earlier, that anomaly thing, see, I didn't know that. I didn't know that I I didn't know that that's what people can look at me as, and this can be a good thing or a bad thing. Because when I take her to the hospital, it's like, okay, we know you bringing her here. Where's mom? Okay, mom's not in the picture. Instantly, I get attitude to the point where they'll send therapists to the room, or they'll have CPS workers come by. I had to go through this while I'm trying to care for her and be her support system. I'm cussing out people in the hospital because they like, well, where's the mother at?
Yeah.
How long she's been living with you? What happens when she has to get on her cycle? I'm asking me weird shit.
Like questioning your fatherhood ability.
Yes.
Questioning you as, and it's almost, does it almost feel like an insult to you as a man? Like, yo, I'm a grown man and I know what I'm doing here. This is my child.
They look at me as if I'm a child myself. So like, if you're immature, how can she only live with you and her brother and that's it? That type of thing.
So with all this stuff that you go through and have to handle and juggle, let's go back to how and who taught you how to be a father.
Well, my pops wasn't in my life from, I'm gonna say, the ages of maybe like 4 to about 13. He was in the streets real heavy. Got himself clean, he came back around. So in that space, it was my Uncle Dobie, who lives in California as well, and my Uncle Ronald. I looked at what they did, because they both married and got kids, and you know what I mean? Like my Uncle Dobie, he was a sergeant major for 31 years in the Marine Corps. My Uncle Ronald, he was a police officer. So I kind of took certain things from them, but you know how it is when you younger, they old people. Actually, the person who was just here, his cousin, which was like, he was one of the first guys that I actually looked up to and emulated. Like I said, my uncles, they great, man, especially my Uncle Dobie. He's probably the greatest guy, man, I've ever really encountered in my life. Gerald was like that guy, dress slick, jewelry. As you can see, the influence is still there. He always had the freshest shoes on, but he was always smart. And I remember he said something to me one time, just in the candid conversation. He was like, you out here and you doing all this stuff out in the streets. All you doing is hustling for your bail money. I'm like, the fuck is you talking about? He's like, all you doing is hustling for your bail money. All this money you got in your shoe boxes and under the mattress, once you get caught, all of that is going to go to a lawyer in the bail.
Wow.
Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And then sure enough, along that shit, went to those two places and more. Wow. But yeah, like, so my uncles, Gerald, my father too, because once my father came back around, damn, something just hit me. It's funny I'm talking about him. My father actually died September 18th, 2015. That's wild that I'm doing this right now. That just hit me. Once he came back around, he didn't really know how to be a father to me because he was gone. So what he did was, and I didn't really get this until like his last 2 years alive, he would never come at me and try to like boss up on me or like he was being a homeboy to me. But I wanted him to do the other part because I never really got that from not even my uncles. I never really got that. So he was like, he would call me if like certain sports events happened or if something happened in politics or like when Tupac died. Like he would, and we would talk because my father was a real intellectual guy. So he ended up becoming like a drug counselor, and he would go around speaking and motivating people to get off of drugs. But he was like a homeboy to me, more so than a father. But then as I got older, I felt myself going to him for advice because I didn't realize how similar we were. You know what I mean? Like,
wow. So he instead of the authoritarian or the influence or enforcer, he became more friendly. Yeah. And so do you feel like if he'd have switched it and came and gave you what you thought you needed, that it would have changed anything for you?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
I hear that a lot, and you know what I think about that sometimes is, would you be receptive though? So that's the thing. That's the thing about it, right?
It sounds like you was a hard head.
You know what I mean? So that's the thing about it. Where sometimes we got to also look at like, yeah, you can say, yeah, if it would have changed, but You could have been like, nigga, when you been? I ain't listening to you. And you know.
That's real.
No, I'm laughing because that's kind of what happened.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
That's kind of what happened. And then like, you know, that happened. And then I caught myself trying to, let's get into a little boxing match, just slap boxing, playing around. And I'm thinking, hey, I mean, I'm faster than you. Everybody
I was about to say, did you win?
Nah.
I didn't think so.
Nah. 3-piece me 2 times before my hand got all the way up. Hands off. I don't want no smoke, Pops. You feel me? Like, I don't want no smoke, man.
Got you. So when you sit back and think about it, it sounds like you've basically been on a growth pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did you realize, or what was that said, okay, well, look, I have this. I need to start maturing and changing me before I can actually be effective as a father. Like, what was that process like?
That came with a huge decision I had to make. Because like I said, when I went to California for that visit that turned into me staying, okay, I get custody of them, but I'm used to being a weekend father, or the father that pops in for the holidays or send stuff, you know what I mean, or send stuff out to them while I'm back here. So, I was still into my music at that point in time. So I got custody of them July 8th, 2010. December of that same year, I got a record deal. So all the grounding I was doing back here happened, it materialized into that. So I'm like, boom, okay, I got them, I got this. My budget was beautiful. They had this guy named Kevin Black who was going to be my promoter. Perfect. Then she has another crisis. So I'm like, I can manage it. I'm going to just pay somebody to come out here and sit with her. And she says to me, Daddy, I don't want nobody else in the hospital with me but you. So on this shoulder, you know, the money, everything I was grinding for, the deal. Then over here is Renee, which is my daughter's name. Daddy, I don't want nobody in the hospital but. So I asked them to let me out my contract.
Wow.
And they wouldn't at first because they had a whole plan in place. So I had to go hire an attorney. He wrote the letter for me, but he wrote it in a way he included my daughter in there, and they released me, but they kept all of the music I recorded for them. I'm not tripping about now, but it's like that was a big maturing point for me, because I think the old me, I would have did it. I would have never seen them really, because I would have been on the road all of the time, but they would have been taken care of financially, but that the other part that she needed and my son needed, because their mom really isn't around like that, they wouldn't have had it, and I didn't want to put them through that, and that wasn't easy. That wasn't an easy decision to make at all.
Wow, they needed your presence and your just you. Wow, not just the money.
No, had I been living back here when that happened, where all my family is, I probably would have still went the other way, even with her saying that, because it's like, okay, at least you got everybody here, but in California, it's just me, my uncle. Now my mom moved out there. This, I mean, years later. This is recent, but it was just us two out there. So I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, that support system, it means
it matters.
A ton. Yeah, it matters.
So when it comes to that, right? You're a single father with a daughter as well, right? When you say your mom's not really around, so how do you feel about bringing like other women around and things like that when it comes to a daughter?
So far, I can say they've only seen two.
Okay.
Yeah, they've only seen two, and it's like.
In how long of a span?
Come on, man! Don't put the man business out there.
No, I'm talking about like because it makes sense, because like they
trying to jam you.
Come on, man. No, but that's an amazing feat. If you go in 11 years or something like that, and you only see two people, that's a good
Nah, you know how to move, man.
7, 8 years.
You know what I'm saying? That's a
7, 8 years. 7, 8.
I'm with you, brother.
Because I mean, listen, man, if you living a lifestyle, she's a rapper and everything, like you would think women in and out.
So
right?
what's the stereotype of a rapper you trying to portray?
We're not doing this. We're not doing this shit.
He's a setup artist over here.
Boy over here trying to white media me.
Oh my gosh, man. No, but look, it's fun. Look, the thing about you asking that, so look, right? I'm gonna tell this story. It's my daughter. She gonna remember this too. So I did, you know what I mean? I would have chicks come over every now and then, boom, when they sleep, and soundproof. You know what I mean, boom. So,
what you talking about? Putting towels up?
A little more intricate than that. Literally studio soundproofing.
Oh man, yeah,
you
intricate for real.
Yeah. So
why you ask this man all this business and shit?
No, hey, look, he teaching.
All right,
somebody is gonna just grab
this man.
Yeah, somebody gonna use that. Somebody gonna use that. Somebody gonna use that.
Hey, where you get soundproof material from?
Shit, man. Amazon, Sam's Music, all that. So look, about 3-4 o'clock in the morning, I'm walking a chick out. I'm thinking my daughter, she sleep. Cause my son, when he go to sleep, he done, he comatose. But she's kind of like a night owl, like me. She be up. So the next morning, she was like, "Dad, I don't know if I was dreaming or not, but I thought that I saw a girl in like a white T-shirt and some sandals walking down the hall, and you was behind her." Yeah,
man, did you lie to him?
You was dreaming.
Okay,
you was dreaming. I said, yeah. I said, yeah, you was dreaming. I don't know. And then from that point on, I just didn't bring I didn't bring no randoms around because I'm like, damn. I'm like, I didn't think she was ever going to. You caught me really. You didn't catch me, but I just didn't want that in her head constantly. I didn't want that to be a part of the upbringing. You see dad walking different. I ain't want to do that. So.
Okay.
I feel you. I don't either.
Hey, well,
you ain't got the rapper lifestyle.
Boy, crazy.
You can't. I mean. So that is the thing, right? Because I don't know how I would, if my kids lived with me solely day in and day out. That'd be hard as a single man. Like that's hard because you can't really date. You can't do none of that.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that one to a certain extent. You can, but just like he said, you have to be strategic with what you have to do. You have to find the time. I mean, because at the end of the day, you can't forget that you are a grown man. Mm-hmm. And you just have to work around, figure out. You might not be like 7 to 8 o'clock, but 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I can, go out on a date or go entertain something to kind of build my relationships that I feel like I'm gonna need because you're a man, you have needs. So
you're gonna have to.
Yeah. So being a single father with, you said 2 kids. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you draw from to kind of keep you focused and keep you there and present in the moments for them? Because it's a lot on you.
Oh, that's actually, well, it's simple now. It wasn't simple in the beginning, but it's simple now because like the way that I raised them, I put them in so many different things: piano, sports, crossbow. They did a lot. Mm-hmm. So when they got into their teens, they really weren't into like social media and all that like most of their friends because they were into so many different things. So it's easy to keep focused now because, like I said, my son, he draws and he writes books. He's actually working on his first book right now, and he does logo work for people that's creative. So me and him bond, click with that. My daughter design little earrings, put stuff in the mason jar. Like they both like super creative. So I guess the conversations I probably couldn't have with them if they were just into regular things, I can have. Like they'll ask me, "How was your show?" or "What happened in the studio?" And then I'll ask him, "How's your book coming along? What you drawing this week?" And my daughter the same. I conversate with them some kind of like my father almost, kind of like I'm their friend, but there's a boundary there. You get what I'm saying?
How do you define that boundary though?
Like, I never thought about that. They just know, like they don't curse in front of me. They don't say certain things in front of me when we have these conversations or just when I'm there, when I'm around them. But I can't really put it into words. It's just there's a respect factor there with you get what I'm saying? Like we joke, we laugh, we play, but there's a respect factor there.
That's that shut off.
Yeah.
It's like the emergency shut off.
Yeah.
Right now is
right. Like that look when they like
there you right.
Stop.
Right.
Like ha. Cut that shit. Like, yeah, you ain't know. Fuck out of here. Like, you got the same shit. This boy trying to kill me.
No, he got it.
Yeah, he got
I
it.
can tell he got
Yeah, he
it.
got it. Yeah. He asked Eli a question he don't like. He'll give you that shit real quick. What? What you say?
Man, shut up. Hey, look, but going back to something you was talking about earlier when you was talking about growing up in Baltimore, right? And I'm asking you this from my perspective because I actually say this sometimes. Do you ever feel a sense of, man, I wish I grew up like my kids are growing up, or like because you're putting them in a better position and better situations than like for me that I've experienced in certain aspects? I was like, I'm a little jealous of that because I didn't have that when I was growing up. I didn't get to experience that. Do you ever go through that?
All the time. All the time. That's why when they be coming home and talk about, I'm stressed, I'm worried about this. I'm like, yo, shut up. You ain't got to worry about walking to school doing like this. And like, yo. But then sometimes I got to check myself on that because of how crazy the suicide rate is with teenagers. So I made a habit of not saying, man, your life ain't that hard. I'm okay, tell me what, all right. In my mind, I'm like, shut up, yo. You ain't going through nothing. But I'm like, yo, what's wrong? But yeah, all the time. I wish if I grew up the way they did, yeah, I probably would have been a straight A student.
That's funny because you were talking about he was talking about they might not be going through anything and shut up. And you're gonna get some calls about that. That's not, you need sensitivity training.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Just want you to know that.
I'm toxic right now.
Look,
Toxic masculinity, right?
I can tell all three of us have a pretty straightforward conversations.
Yeah,
and we still always have a slight old school mentality. Like we're not as sensitive as the current generation that's going on.
Nowhere near.
And so do you find challenge in that? In being a father and raising your kids now? Or have you been able to adapt?
No, I definitely haven't adapted. No, I haven't. And I kind of have a mentality where, I know this might sound fucked up, but man, I don't really care. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I'm not going to let y'all tell me how to run my household. When my daughter say some stupid shit, sometimes I might not fire on her, but I'm gonna get loud. I'm gonna yell at you. My son, the same thing, and I do that to both of them equally. It's like I don't yell at him more than I would yell at her, because of course he does dumber shit than she does, because he a boy. But it's like, no, like even sometimes when she in the hospital, like she'll be in there, her pain will be getting better, and she may be telling me about something in school, and I'm like, well, why would you do that? Like what? Like we've developed a relationship to where they know how I am, I guess. They're comfortable with it, but somebody from the outside looking at them is like, damn, he yelling at them kind of loud. Mind your motherfucking business, yo. You know what I mean? Like, don't I yell at you if you come over here and say the wrong thing to me? Like when it's my kid, leave me alone. Because I can actually say I've only spanked both of them maybe 3 times in their entire life, because they really aren't bad kids, but verbally, yeah, I go there and I still go there. I'm gonna always go there, even when they adults.
Children need correction.
Yeah,
I mean it's just you need some straightening. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's that real country coming out of you right there.
Hey, look, you got one more time to offend me. I just want you to know you got one more time.
Let me back and ask you that real quick. So you say you feel a little jealous of how your kids are raised now? Because I feel the total opposite.
So, that's a good question. It's not that I love my childhood. Like you just said, I grew up in the country. My childhood was great because I had a childhood. You know what I mean? So that's the difference in proximity and where you grow up. So like I spent tons of time playing. I spent tons of time whatever. But when you look back at it, or when I look back at it, I'm appreciative of everything that I have. I was close to my family is huge. Close to my family. I had everything that I needed. I was taught well. But when you sit back and look at like a 6-year-old got a queen size bed, or in his own room in a walk-in closet, or
iPad, a Bluetooth speaker,
you see what I'm saying? So
a fish tank in the room.
Or if my child asks me, if as long as it's reasonable, if they ask me for whatever, guess what? I can go do whatever. Or if they say, can we go on vacation? You know what? We out. That's different than the way I grew up. You know what I mean? So when I say I'm happy that I'm able to provide, but it's also challenges to that too. Mm-hmm. So when I look back at it, like I grew up in the country, so our racial definitions are totally different. I grew up with rednecks. I grew up with people you might need to watch out for. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Whereas up here, you probably had all black people for the most part.
Yeah.
And so my ability to maneuver through different races is different. I know how to maneuver. That's why I do commercial real estate. I know how to play that game.
Makes sense.
But at the same time, my daughter, when she first started school, she maybe one or two only black kid in school. So I'm like, okay, well, that's because I was able to provide a different level of life. Mm-hmm. And so it's trade-offs to everything, like no matter what it is. So whether it's she can get everything that she wants or my son can get everything that he needs, we can go, we can travel. A 6-year-old with stamps on a passport. I didn't know what a passport was until I got to college.
I was grown.
Yeah,
exactly. And so those are the types of things, like, so they get world experience that I never got.
Mm-hmm. So for me, I feel like my kids, they have all of that stuff, but because like next year, I think they're going to St. Lucia or somewhere like that, right? But for me,
that sounds crazy.
But yeah, it does. No, it does. Right. But to me, it's like, man, they never jump a fence. Like little stuff
climb
like
that.
Climb
a tree? Yeah. My son wants to climb a tree.
Right.
Like what?
Yeah,
Well, shut up. You ain't had no trees. y'all had light poles.
There you go. Right. Fences. Y'all
talking about popping fire hydrants. We had hose pipes. We drug out of hose pipes.
But still, like they don't have, like, even the stupid stuff, like being out at night, that my kid is no way in hell my kids would be anywhere near anything. Now, it is violent and they shouldn't be around it, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that shit was fun. You gotta understand. Like, I don't know what it is, but dangerous shit as a kid is the funnest shit in the world.
Oh my
Anything you might get arrested for, some shit, to run from the car or some shit like that was fun shit.
That sounds great.
You know what? Fuck
that sounds. No, hold on. That sounds great.
But I would never want my kids to do that.
Thank you.
I would never want my kids.
It's always a point where it seems like it's always a point where we mature past that. But what happens is we draw on our experience like, damn, I wish they could have did that, but they ain't gonna let them do it, right?
So, is it wrong if you like just take them to it every now and then?
Yeah, it's kind of wrong because they don't know how to deal with it.
But you take them there so they learn.
They're not going to be there long enough to learn.
See, it's funny he say that.
To my family.
That's how my son is. My son don't like coming back to Baltimore. My daughter loves it. My son don't. He like, yo, this what? Nah, he don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's interesting that you said
that's
that.
That's funny you say that.
Yeah, because my idea of it. So I was talking about where my daughter grew up, in the schools that she went through, and how the different things that she had to go through. But my definition of introducing her to culture was sometimes taking her back to be around my family. Mm-hmm. She stands out because she's not entrenched into it enough to be able to. That becomes second nature,
right?
And so it's a challenge, no matter how you spin it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's why you gotta keep it on. Like my kids, they get down to the country, they be running around with their shoes off, and I be looking at them like
they doing the right thing.
Like,
what? You better go ahead and send them my way. I
know.
Look, y'all got me walking around these little buildings down here. I'm like, man, I feel claustrophobic. I'm used to land and grass, and y'all got mosquitoes here.
Yeah, we got mosquitoes.
Oh, see, I was wondering. I didn't know how it was built up here.
Oh man.
Nah. So when you look back at it, right? Are there some things that you want to instill from your childhood into your kids that prepares them, and how are you going to do it?
Yeah, certain things, of course, like especially the survival instinct. That's super important. My daughter, she gets that. I think my daughter gets it more than my son because she has to literally grow up with pain and adjust her lifestyle to that pain. So the whole survival instinct, she get it. My son more so. Like, it's weird. Like, my son looks just like me, but acts like his mother. My daughter looks just like her mother, but acts just like me. So I always said that my kid's mother is like a black hippie. She's a flower child. Like the earth is beautiful. The sun,
just floats.
Yeah, she's an artist. She paints
crystals.
All that gemstones, birthstones, and my son.
Oh wow.
My son's not that far gone with it, but he ain't that far gone with it. But he's in his head a lot. So like something from my childhood that I try to put in him a lot is like, okay, you have to get out in the world and experience things. You can't just sit in your creative bubble because then you're not gonna know how to relate to people, and that's something that he struggles with. And that's what I have to constantly work at him with. So, like right now, I do a lot of pop-up shops. So I say, yo, come with me. Why? You draw, print out your pictures, put them in a case, put a label on them, put some of your pictures on a T-shirt, set up your table next to mine. Just to kind of force him, but not yelling at him to do it. Like, come out here, and then you get around people, and boom, and it's been helping.
So you're trying to instill entrepreneurship. To a certain extent.
Entrepreneurship.
But let me ask you this question. Do you feel like you can instill it? Or does it come, it's something that's in you?
Yeah, it's not in him.
To hustle like that.
It's not in him, but I want him to get that experience. So, because I can tell he's definitely probably going to work for some type of movie company where he's doing illustrations or maybe cartoon work. But I want him to know what it's like to be able to grab your own check, write your own check. Because like, if you're gonna go that route, cool, go there, because you probably gonna get 6 figures. I get it, but still know how to make money without having to just rely on that. My daughter gets it, perfect. Probably got more money in her little checking account than I got in mine right now. Him, it's a little different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that whole teaching that don't really believe in having ceilings over your head or limitations on, let's say, income, because that's a thing that's why I asked, can you teach that or can you instill it? And I like you saying that you just want to provide exposure.
Yeah.
Because when you look back at it and understand that, yo, I don't have a ceiling over my head and the sky's the limit, that's freedom. Especially as they get older and start going out and making their own way. So I give you kudos for that.
Thank you. Thank
sure.
you.
So where you live in California, what is the racial dynamic there?
Shit. What is it, like 50% white, about 30% Hispanic, and then blacks and Asians fall somewhere under that. So that's another thing. Race was a big part of my teaching to them, had to be, because see, it's weird in the part of California that I live in, because it's like, you know how back here on the East Coast we may go at each other, we may fight or whatever, but it's like it's all of just guys being guys and coming up sometimes. Out there, a lot of black people really don't like each other, where a lot of them would prefer to be with other races or feel like they've arrived if they're accepted by
this circle.
Yeah, and
that's identity crisis.
There you go. Like a lot of my son's friends, you'll hear them say, and I went crazy on two of his friends one time, because I actually heard them say, I don't, we don't like nigga bitches.
Nigga bitches.
I'm in my room, and I'm like,
are these his black friends?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, it's still bad regardless.
Yeah, I've heard some people I know to say the same thing, but
I'm like,
different.
yo, like, do y'all know where that term came from? I mean, okay, the word nigga, but the way you said it, you sound like a fucking slave master, yo. Like, what? Yo, get out. I put them niggas out. Then I'm like, you know what? Let them come back so I can tell them why that bothered me so much. But it's like, yo, like, I've noticed that out there. Now, I'm not saying all of California.
Of course,
I don't want people to see this like, yo, he banging on. No, not everybody. But
intelligent people won't say that.
There's a big dynamic of guys out there that literally feel like that. Like, if they got an Asian or a white girl on their arm, they doing better. And it's like, and it starts because I worked in the school system out there for a few years. It starts early. They tease the black girls about their hair. They tease them about their lips. All the stereotypes that you would read about in little memes, like I've literally seen it in real time out there.
Yeah.
Never would have saw that back here like that. I mean, but it's different out there, man.
So you hitting on something that's kind of close and near and dear to me when you're talking about race, right? And let me ask you this: when you're talking to your children about race,
Mm-hmm.
do they receive it or provide you pushback to like, yo, you're really kind of taking it too far? It's really not like that.
5 years ago, it was nothing but pushback until they both started going through things. So, for example, this kid in church asked my daughter, "Why did God give you a paint job?"
Woo.
Now, my daughter's sharp though. She's sharp, and she got a smart ass mouth, super smart. So she said, "Well, obviously, he felt that I needed one, and I'm blessed because the sun doesn't bother me the way it bothers you and your mother."
Ooh, that
Now,
was mean.
I wasn't there when this happened.
Ooh.
They went to church with the neighbors and they told me about it, and now I'm like, hey, I gave her a pound, like, yo, like that's what. But from that point on for her, then she got it. My son, different, because a lot of my son's friends are like Mexican and white. Mm-hmm. He has a few black friends, but most of his friends are Mexican and white. So they in the library at school, and this kid kept talking to my son, saying something like I bet your grandmother's back is hurting. I bet your great grandmother's back is hurting. And like I told you, my son's a flower child. He ain't get he's not catching it.
Yeah.
So then he was like, now like I told y'all to go back to something. I said their mom really isn't in their life like that. So he said, your mother's back is probably not hurting, but I bet you her brain probably still has the same scars as your grandmother and your great grandmother's back. For some reason, when he said that, it clicked to him what he meant. So he said, well, at least their backs might be hurting, but they not wet backs. So the kid pushed my son, and they said my son like threw this kid over a table and then ran over to him and was getting ready to hit him, and the counselor grabbed him. He says he don't remember doing that because he blacked out.
Ooh, he blacked out.
He blacked out. So I was like, so they was like, Reggie, we don't want to suspend him because he's never been in no trouble. He's not a bad kid, and we're gonna like have the parents come up because what he was saying to your son, because it was like 8 kids that were witnesses of what he was saying. And they was like, we're gonna have a meeting and blah blah blah. But from that point on, he got it. So I told those 2 stories to answer your question. Like, they gave me a lot of resistance, but when those 2 things happened, no more resistance.
Yeah.
Now they watch some of the same podcasts I watch. They read some of the books I got them as little kids. Now they reading them and they receiving them different now.
Nah, and the reason why that question, that I was sparked to ask you that question, because I went through that too, and I don't know if it's a generational thing, because we teach, society and media teach so much about inclusion, about everybody's equal, and about, you know, love everybody the same, when our black kids are not always loved and treated the same. So why are we gonna teach them to treat? You're supposed to treat everybody with kindness and respect. Mm-hmm. But if you're disrespected, you need to know why. And it's gonna typically come from other races.
Yeah.
So you need to have an understanding of how people view you. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of goes back to what the whole purpose of this podcast is about: fatherhood and black fathers. For so long, we haven't told our stories. Yeah. And so you up here telling your story and shedding light on so many things is important. And so hopefully other fathers receive your information that'll help, you know, push them down and mature them as parents. So,
and it's a sacrifice. Like that's one thing I say. One thing you cannot be as a parent is selfish. It's the most selfless thing you could ever do, because you a lot of things that you want to do, you will sacrifice and just stop completely just for your kids. Just for your kids. But a lot of times it's not seen, but it's portrayed as though, well, I'm just gonna leave and do whatever the fuck I gotta do. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You would not see, I'm gonna go to court to fight to get custody of my kids. Like, no, you want to take them. Like a lot of that is what you hear, right? But you don't hear the other side of the story about you have to struggle in court to actually get your kids and take your kids. That does not happen often. Yeah. That just doesn't happen often. Most people won't fight for custody. I mean, for that to happen, like, and it happens more often than people hear, and it's never told.
And you know, it's funny, like something you just said, you kind of just gave me a flashback, because I don't really talk about this out loud. It's what just in my head, like when he just said you got to fight and struggle to get your kids. Like, yo, real shit. Like, I can remember, like the whole, like the process, you got to go to a mediator first, right? Then from the mediator, he goes and tells the judge whatever. So I remember, yo, the judge literally said to me, because my kid's mother, she said I did some wild, outrageous stuff. Now, 30% of what she said was true. I'm not going to lie about that. It was, because we and her was close, so she knew a lot of the stuff I was doing. But the 70%, I'm trying to set the kids on fire and blah, blah. She was saying some crazy shit.
Jesus
So,
Christ.
bro, so
dug deep into the artistic bag.
Now, mind you, back 2010, I had bald head, still had my fronts in. I was about 20 pounds heavier than what I am now, so I'm in court probably looking crazy to the judge. She was like, look, I believe what your kid's mother is saying about you, but I'm going to give you temporary custody until I interview your children, because I do believe that you're no good. She literally said this. So all the lawyers behind me was like, hire me out. And I'm like, I'm not hiring none of y'all. I'm not, no. So they interviewed my kids. The mediator did. And everything that I said, my kids back, now they weren't living with me then, so it's not like I couldn't pump their head. Yeah. So everything I said was going on, they pretty much confirmed it. So that's how I got full custody. But I just said that because when he just said the whole struggling part, and what she did was, because I was going to move back here when I got them. But what the judge did was, she gave their mother 4 visitation days. 4 hours a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And if I didn't make sure she had her visits, that's a strike against me. Mind you, CPS was coming to my house every other week because of the stuff she said I did. So I couldn't leave the state, because they was like, if you don't let her see them, we're gonna take them and have them in a group home until we can sort everything out. So basically they were waiting for me to mess up.
Wow. So you telling that story kind of leads you. So once the judgment was made that you have, how did your kids react?
They hated me, bro. Because in their mind, I took them from their mother. Yep. And it's like they didn't get, if I would have left. Now, I'm not bashing her because she's dealing with mental health issues. And I didn't know that being back here in the city. You just think somebody just high-tempered and got a quick fuse. The part of California we in, it's more mellow. So if you got something going on, it's easier to unravel because you got more time to think.
Gotcha.
So they hated me. Like my daughter, she didn't talk to me for damn near a year. She would say whatever she had to say to me, but no, in their mind, I took them from their mom.
How did you deal with that? You personally? Because it sounded like it had to be a lot on you as far as dealing with that.
A whole lot of drinking, crying in my room at night when they sleep, or walking outside just pacing because I'm a nosy parent. I'll listen to their conversations and shit, like, you feel me, like, so man, like, I would hear them say little shit, like I would hear them say little shit like, we gonna run away and we gonna run and find mom. Like, that shit was tough. And it's like, and it's funny, I called my father and I told him about it. He was like, I'm gonna give you the same advice I gave you when you was with that mother that you didn't listen to. He's like, I told you when it comes to women, sometimes just shut up and love them. Just shut up. When they come to what you hearing them say, shut up, because the truth will unravel. I'm sorry about that. Will unravel as the years go on. They gonna see what you did was the right thing. Right now, just shut up. Don't let them disrespect you, but just shut up. Let them go through what they're going through. So I took that advice, but I took it a step further, and I got them in counseling. All 3 of us. And to this day, we still go. Not as much, but because I'm like, y'all got to get this out, because clearly my son both of them had anger issues because of it, and it was directed towards me, and they're not going to talk to me about their mother, because in their minds I took them from her, so I'm the villain. So all right, well, y'all go talk to a counselor, and that actually helped. So
was that the turning point
for them?
For all of y'all, for as far as the relationship with you 3?
Yes, that actually helped out a whole lot. A lot, because the way she would do it, she would have me talk first by myself, then she would talk to them. Then she started breaking up the way she would talk to my son. Then she would talk to my daughter, and then have us all come back and meet like 2 weeks later. So yeah, that definitely helped out a whole lot, because mental health is not something in our community that we really don't really deal with too much.
Yeah, especially when you talking about counseling. I mean, that's something
Yeah.
I still in my head. I'm like, man, you don't. Ego again, male. Like,
I heard you.
Ego. It's like, well, what we need to go to counseling for? Somebody tell me what to do.
Tell me to do with my life, like right.
But no, that comes from a sense of humility too, for you to like, you know what? I think I need help to get this going in the right direction. So, learn something from everybody, and I learned something from you just then. So
yeah, I mean that's just dealing with that. So, what was your support system like?
Shit, I ain't really have. I mean, I say I didn't have one, because like I said, most of my family is back here on the East Coast. My uncle, like I said, my uncle was great, but my uncle military guy, so I couldn't really, talk to him like that.
Right.
So it's like it really shit, man. Phone calls with your cousin, drinking. I didn't really have a big support system going through that, because I didn't really want people. Because this is another thing. See, when I got custody of them, a lot of people were mad at me, not just my kids, because see, my kid's mother, man, she's a beautiful lady, very, very, very. What is that word? Not condescending. What is the other word where you can tell somebody something and they'll believe, like
manipulative,
like. She like we all see these mics are black, but she could talk to y'all and say, okay, she'll make you think this is purple, this is pink, this is yellow.
She can manipulate the situation. Yeah.
And because of the way she looked and how I looked, Reggie, how did you pull that off? You did something. So there was this wanting me to fail as a parent. I'm not gonna say the people's names, but it was some family members and friends. They wanted me to, so I couldn't go to them like I normally could, because it's like, oh, you only gonna have them for about a year, and you gonna mess up anyway. So I just had that was, like I said, that was a lot of prayer, a lot of drinking, and a lot of tears that fell during that time. Because it's not easy to know and feel that your kids don't like you, and it's like, and it's a weird dynamic, because it's like I'm the only parent in the house, and I have to be a disciplinarian. But then I can't come at y'all so hard, because I know what y'all dealing with, and then y'all don't like me, so you getting smart with me. I can't smack you upside your head, because you're going to think It was a lot, bro. Even just saying it out loud right now, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, damn, how the hell did I get through that for real? Like, you know what I mean? Like, damn. Like, it's funny, in California, they pay you to recycle. And now that I'm talking about this, it's funny, because like I would recycle. I would save my bottles, and I would always have a whole lot of glass. And I'm like, God damn, I got a problem. Like a whole bag full of Hennessy and Angry Orchard bottles. Like,
that is a weird ass combination.
I don't even drink like that. That sounds terrible.
And then like fast forward 3 years, the recycle lady, she was like, oh, you must have cut back on your drinkers, and all you got is plastic. You got a bunch of water bottles down.
Yeah, that's kind of bad. Hey, she was concerned.
Right.
She was concerned, and thank you for all the bottles at the same time.
That's crazy saying that out loud, though, but yeah.
I'm glad you kind of beyond that a little
bit.
bit.
I was about to ask, we about to get to that next. Like, you keep talking about this drinking and drinking. Like,
how your liver?
Like, Jesus. At what point did that slow that? So, at what point? So I would assume the drinking probably slowed down at the same time. So the relationship with the kids got better, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so, when was that? Like how?
About 2014.
How long did that take?
2015. Shit, 2011 up till then. No, not take that back. I got custody of them too. So from 2010 till about 2013, it was rocky. Bad, and in 2014 it started to turn a little bit. It started to turn a little bit, and I think what helped too, like our household is the house on the block where all of their friends want to come to. So then I think it clicked to them like, damn, well, if all my friends like coming over here and they talk to our dad more than we talk to him, what's wrong with us? You get what I'm saying? Like all their friends, like their mothers are like, you cooking tonight? Can he eat over here? that type of thing. So I have a house full of like little kids and shit. Like, and I'm like, damn, they probably was like, well, everybody like coming over here, and they always end up in the living room while my dad watching football instead of playing video games, that type of thing. And I think that kind of helped it too.
Oh wow.
Which was kind of weird, but yeah.
The kids was in there with you, and the other kids was playing
Wow,
around.
I'm screaming watching the Ravens games, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, you should have picked a better team. That's all right. I'm not gonna fault you for your decisions in life, but that was a terrible.
Don't let Eli talk to you like that.
You must be a Steelers fan.
No,
huh?
what's funny is I was at Eli's house in Super Bowl when y'all beat his team.
Oh, the 49ers.
No, you don't have a right to say 49ers.
No, that's my second favorite team.
Oh,
that was
okay.
my favorite team before we got the Ravens.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
So that was a fun Super Bowl for me to watch.
You halfway cool with me right now. It's all right though.
That's my second favorite team for real.
So let's go back to you talking about your daughter, talking about your son, the things that you deal with your daughter. How do you find a balance? Because she goes through her struggles, but you also have to raise your son as well. How do you strike that balance to make sure that he understands that you're there with him as well?
So I purposely moved within 7 minutes of the hospital because of how much she had to be there. So for example, it's something I'll do. Like if I know she's got to go in there and she has to be in there for days, I started to allow him to go around there and be with her. You stay for 6-7 hours. I'll come back and get you. Then I'll go back around there and spend the night. Or when she's there, sometimes I'll just say, come over here and do your homework. He resisted it at first, and then I think he caught on to what I was doing, because it's like, if I'm always here, because I don't trust these nurses, so I needed to be there. I also want you here, so you don't feel like I have to show her this much attention because of what she's going through, but I don't want you to feel neglected or alienated. So I do little stuff like that. Then sometimes if it's one of those days where she's in the hospital, but she like, Dad, I'm cool. They just got me on pain medicine for like a couple days. I'll use that time to do something fun with him. Let's go see a new X-Men movie in 3D, or let's go shoot pool. Like, I'll do something out of the ordinary while she's in the hospital. Just little tricky shit like that, so he can be like, damn, like, okay, like, I get you gotta be with her, but you still rock with me. Because I went through that coming up. Not on the opposite end, so where people treated me different. I was kind of my family's favorite, so I saw how it made my cousins feel. So I make like a conscious effort to kind of do the same shit for both of them, because I don't ever want either one to feel like that. Right. And I still fall short of it, because as much as you heard me talk about my daughter, she'll tell you, you like Rochelle more than you like me. I mean, we laugh about it now, but it's like, damn, nigga, I go out of my way to make sure y'all don't feel like that. Look,
you a black man. You always wrong for something.
Right.
Right. And you know what's crazy? As we sit here having this conversation, the way you casually just say she's in there for days, like that's a lot to deal with. And the way you just and to just talk about it like that, you just rattle it off. Yeah, she's in there for a couple of days or something. I just come like that's. I don't know if you realize that's amazing stuff to really do. You probably don't hear that because you live through it. You just do it, and we don't talk about it. You don't get celebrated for it. Like it's just living life. But I'm just letting you know that's amazing, because I can't imagine my daughter in the hospital for a couple hours. Like you saying days. And it's not just once or twice, but it's just a normal, reoccurring thing, and you're just dealing with it. Like that's tough. It's commendable.
Thank you.
Very much so. So I'm gonna ask you this: sickle cell is something that happens a lot in our community, right? And let's say I'm a new father or a new parent, and my child is diagnosed with this. What type of advice would you give that person?
Definitely find that child a hematologist outside of their regular care provider. Because most kids got the regular pediatrician. You're gonna need a hematologist because they specialize in blood disorders, and try to make sure that person, depending on where you living at. If you live like in my situation, I live around like I said, 50% white and Hispanic. So find a hematologist that has dealt with sickle cell and that has lived like in an area like DC, Baltimore, Oakland, where they've actually dealt with it. versus them just
Reading
getting
about it.
Yeah, and the diet is super, super important. They're gonna need a lot of iron. They're also gonna need a lot of fiber because the pain meds they pump into them, it slows down their digestive tract. So that's something my daughter goes through a lot, where if she has to take the oxys or whatever, she'll have a hard time going to the bathroom. So then she'll have to use Miralax. And because like I told you earlier, how they had CPS and shit coming to my house for so like that literally just stopped probably like a year and a half ago. Yeah, so I wanted my daughter to smoke weed because I kept hearing from different people like, yo, like marijuana, her pain crisis won't be as bad. But I was fearful if I do that, then they draw her blood, they see, okay, boom, this is what we've been waiting for. But I found other ways to do it. There's other ways she like, I started to cook with it. Like little things like that, like, and to go back to your question, but I say hematologist, your diet, your iron, the vitamins, yeah, and a lot, make sure that child stays hydrated because that's something that brings on their crisis. If the child is overactive, they start sweating and they don't drink a lot of water, they don't stay hydrated, that can trigger a crisis. And just pay attention to the patterns of when their crisis comes. Because my daughter, hers would always be, like I said, fall, winter, spring. She good through the summer. Once her cycle started, that shit completely flipped. She was so sick through high school, and I didn't even notice till because she had to write a letter to get a scholarship. She said that she only attended high school, and I might be off a little bit, but I think she said 115 days out of 4 years.
Wow.
Because when her period started, it threw her body into shock because she already has a blood disorder, so that, they releasing that every month. So that triggered major, major, major crisis to where she was literally in the hospital every month. Every month she was in the hospital for a long period of time. And then when she would get out the hospital, she would be too weak to go to school. So she had to get on this thing they call home hospital, where a teacher would come out either to the hospital or to the house to teach her. So I don't even know how I started talking about that, but yeah, man, that was like her whole high school thing. Like, and no, I know how I got there when I was saying keep a pattern of when your child have crisis. But just know that sometimes that pattern is going to change depending on if it's a girl with sickle cell or if it's a guy with sickle cell. And also the environment, it's weird. Like when we would come back here for Christmas throughout the winter, she would never get a crisis back here. And because sometimes the cold air can trigger the crisis, but she would never get it. We couldn't figure it out. Then I was like, wait a minute, I think I get it. In California, it could be 92 degrees during the day. Then by 8 o'clock, it drops all the way down to 50 or 40. Most people don't think California get that cold. Well, they get cold out there at night. Whereas here, if the high is like 40 and it dropped down to 30 or 28, that's not that big of a difference. So climate is important too. You gotta pay attention to all that shit if a child got sickle cell.
Now that's good from a medical standpoint. I was talking more from a mental. But I appreciate what you gave.
I answered the question wrong.
No.
You answered your truth. Yeah.
But I also want to know from an emotional standpoint, like, what would you do? How do you cope with your child in and out of the hospital? Like, outside of just drinking.
No, man. Like I said, I'm a part of a few different sickle cell groups now. So it's like other parents that go through the same thing that I could talk to, and I mean that helps slightly. But really, I'm gonna be honest. Like, no, nothing really. You got a daughter. I mean, both of y'all got daughters, so like nothing can really help you through that. It hurts to see her go through that, and then, like I said, it's those times where it's really, really bad, and she might be like leaning over and crying at the same. It's nothing, nobody. I could talk about that shit to 1,000 people, and it would not change the way I feel towards it. So I guess I cope with it by I've accepted it that she has it. It's no cure for it, so they say, but because she's taking it serious now, cause like she asked me, she was like, "Dad, how come you always fussing at them?" I said, I do that because I want you to pay attention to what I'm doing, because sooner or later you're going to be grown. I'm not going to be able to be in here with you like that. So pay attention to what I'm saying to them. Write down what I'm saying if you have to, so then when you on your own, you can fire back at them the same way, because they think a lot of sickle cell patients just want to get high because they don't understand the pain that they go through. They just think, oh, you just want morphine or you just want oxy. No, like they literally, like she told me, it feels like somebody sticks knives in you, twist the knives around, then somebody else's 500 pounds comes and squeeze what that person just did. Mm-hmm. So it's like, for her to describe it that way, I'm like, you gonna need some type of pain medicine. You know what I mean? Like, but no, wanting to deal with that, bro. I just accepted it, and ain't nothing. I can't really talk to nobody to make me feel better about that. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I just deal with it.
So you've been through so much, and you continue to be there for your daughter, be there for your son, and just continue to make a mark in their lives. But when you're gone, what do you want your legacy as a father to be?
That I left everything on the floor, that I left no stone unturned on teaching them how to survive in this world, teaching them how to be selfless people. And yeah, that I just really hope I dropped enough information and jewels on them that they can share and change other people's lives as well.
It's deep.
That's good.
It's deep, man. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time, man.
Y'all done gave me a therapy session. I didn't even know I needed. I ain't said all that out loud, man.
Hey,
like,
man, you got a lot of
crazy.
Stuff. Hey, a lot of stuff. Man, that was great.